But funny enough, it's still entertaining, but they shouldn't have made it so complicated.
Oh, did you find it entertaining? Seriously?
No, I mean, not really.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was curious.
But it was,
That's my passion.
We're back.
Okay, welcome back. So we're moving on with episode 70, and now is Lon.
Yes, and this is a movie, again, chipping away at all the suggestions we watched after RRR. This is another one that a lot of people had recommended we see, which was PS1 or Ponniyin Selvan, Part 1. And it's directed by Mani Ratnam. It's written by Marin Ratnam, Alango Kumaraval, and B.
Well, that's easy for you to say, Lon.
I'm sorry about if I'm mispronouncing his name. Jaya Mohan, but it's based on a 1955 novel by Kalki Krishnamurti. And the weird thing is that this is based on history, so they're actually using historical figures, but this is a novel, so this is a fictionalized account of what's going on. Okay, the plot. I'm gonna
Tell me
just
what
do
it
a
was.
very, very simple plot right here. A character by the name of his name is excuse me, Valavarayan, played by Karthi. So I'm going to use Karthi because I think that's either or Karthi. He's the actor. He's sent by a prince, Prince Aditya, that he had fought with in a war. The prince says, "I want you to go and basically get intel." He wants to know what's going on because he's hearing certain rumors about these ministers getting together and something happening, sort of political intrigue. And then he says, well, after you get the information, go to my father and go to my sister. So that's what he does. And to be quite honest, Karthi is playing, in my opinion, the main character of this entire movie. He is the one you're going to follow through with all his missions and every adventure you have to go through is through his character. Now, one thing he has to do is he has to get into one of the forts, but then he knows he's going to have a problem. He's using his friends. He's using contacts he has. But then he meets this woman, and this is Nadini, played by... I hope I get her name right because she's the one of the most famous actresses in India. Yes,
Aishwarya Rai.
Aishwarya
Bachchan, yeah.
She married Bachchan.
She's a Nadini. She gives him a ring that allows him to get into the thing where he's allowed to find out what's going on. She helps him go away, but he also makes a deal with her. And you realize that Nadini seems to have this great... I don't know what you would call it, actually. It's a talent to which all men seem to be extremely attracted to her. So she can elicit it so much from every single man she meets.
She is kind of gorgeous.
Well, she is. Like I said, she's like one of the
She was Miss World.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
She's the woman that Roger Ebert called the most beautiful woman in the world.
Beautiful.
Did she really? Did he really? Oh, I get that because the eyes alone, you can see it in her eyes. So Karthi then, his character then has to go through all these things, meet the emperor, tell him the information. Then he also has to go to the princess, the prince who told him to go there said, go tell my sister the same thing. Because apparently that's the one thing I did admire about this movie is that the emperor and his 3 children, they really communicate and trust one another.
Right.
So there's a real solidarity in the family, which again, very Asian, right? So he does that. He goes to her. He goes to meet the sister. Of course, what happens, you can see almost right away he seems to fall in love with the sister. Gives her the information. She also tells him certain things about what he has to do. But because he made that pact with Nadini, he also gives the communication to her to let her know what the sister's response was. So while all this is going on, it's all political intrigue. How would you put it? A lot of melodrama. But what's happening in this whole movie, it's just featuring all this thing about going to war, because this is about the Chola emperor. I guess we're at around the 900 70 something is around the time period of
900
India,
AD?
because this is really based on historical figures. Like I said, the story itself is fictional, but he has to then go, and then she sends him to basically, because there's two things that the emperor is asking, that all his family come and visit him, both his sons. So then he has to go now to the other son, who is basically, he's the Ponniyin Selvan character. He's known as Prince Arul Mozi, and he's the one that the Karti's character has to go and say, okay, no, you have to come. But it's not so much that he wants to inform him what's going on. It's the actual emperor who tells the son that he now must come back to see him, but under arrest. That's the weird part. The fact that he said, and when Prince Aruzal Mozi hears this, he says, "Oh, I cannot defy an imperial order. This is the emperor's order, so I must obey." So while all this is going on, there are wars going on. There are people being assassinated. And then there's a odd little kind of thing with the ministers of trying to depose the emperor and putting somebody who has a higher claim to the throne in power. Now, the Chola Empire, to my understanding, because I'm really learning and trying to learn about Indian history, the Chola Empire is one of the southern empires, which is why the novel itself was a Tamil novel. And so it's in a Tamil language, which, by the way, so now I've heard, this is now known as Collywood. That's the section of their film section. So I found this actually entertaining enough because I was always just intrigued by history in general. And after reason, and I have to admit this, it's because I read a couple of Chinese novels. Asians love novels that have, or I should say fiction, that has so many characters in them that it's almost hard that even like the most minute character has sort of a meaning to them because of what they represent. Here's a great example of that, because there are so many ministers, friends, everything coming in that it's very hard to keep in your mind as to who belongs to whom or who's loyal to whom. So I understand if there's a lot of confusion, this is not going to be the movie that you're going to watch, because you're going to find this very dull. And this is just the first part. There is this is known as PS1 in simple terms. There's also a PS2. PS2 actually came out last year, and that's the reason I watched this, because I wanted to see PS2 at the theaters. I thought this was like a really great epic of, again, Indian cinema and history. Whether it's accurate, it's another story, but you're seeing the people who are being pulled as who should be the next emperor, who's in line, this and that. This is all sort of historically fact. That the generalization of it, that's a fact. So it's whether you get pulled into all the melodrama, because that's the one thing that India does so well. Asians, I think, do well. They have huge melodrama. They can have a huge amount of characters. They will have their philosophies as well. And, in this case, there's a lot of religious conversation in it. Yeah. Because that's another thing. I am not familiar enough with it. So when one of the characters is saying he's a Shivite, I'm not exactly sure I mean, I know who Shiva is as far as one of the gods. So, but I don't know. I just know the Chola Empire, or the Southerners, have a different way of thinking than, say, the Northerners.
The Vishnu people.
Well, supposedly. That's what I would assume. I like I said, I'm not quite all there. But I have to admit, I actually thought that Karti, playing this Valavarayan, was really good. I thought he is the main character. He has to do this. He has to show everything. He has to show the drama, the adventure, the power to fight. I mean, everything is there in the film as far as his adventure. So while you're following him, if you like him and you can follow him, I think the character or the movie itself will be entertaining. But otherwise, this will be very difficult, I think, for a lot of people to comprehend. But I really did enjoy this movie enough to watch, of course, PS2.
Right.
And like I compare it to Bahubali that I did before. The first part to me is always the best part because you got introduction to characters, everything.
Right.
But the second part, it ends the story. So that's why it's more important to watch the ending of what happens. Because again, historically, it's more or less accurate as to what happens. So,
Okay.
What do you think, George?
No, I enjoyed the movie. It's really epic.
Oh my God,
It's
you
epic.
enjoy it. Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I did get lost in the beginning, and actually even till the end, I was a little lost because part of it is cultural. Because what threw me off was was the names when they were talking about somebody, because the names were kind of long and it sounded similar. Wait a minute, which character is that one? Or which character is that one? So I would just throw me off. But that would happen if I was watching a Chinese or Japanese movie, or if they start and there's so many characters, they throw in so many names at me that kind of got me lost. I was telling Sophie that I knew a lot of those actors, like I've seen them in all the movies.
Right.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of them. I go, so this must be like an all-star cast. This is Bullet Train.
Right. Well, like Vikram, who plays one of the princes, he's like really famous.
Yeah, and there's that one girl that's the taxiing on the boat. I told her I just hired in another movie. She plays a wrestler.
Yeah.
And she's the main character.
Oh, yeah,
really?
that's the movie he was
I
actually
gonna
going to do.
Oh,
but she's
okay.
supposed to be married off. But she said she wants to be a wrestler, and then she pretends to be like, oh, I'm not the wife.
No.
And even though she beats the crap out of everybody, it's a funny movie. I might do it next time. Actually, it's a really funny movie. But man, those dance numbers too. It's like really the costumes. That's something that I could see in a theater.
Yeah, yeah.
And like I go to the whatever the Shrine Auditorium and watch those dance numbers because they were epic. Like all the numbers, the fight scenes. The things went down in the water and the boats. It was just, it's a movie you have to watch on a big TV, a big screen.
Well, big screen.
The
would
big screen,
help,
the theater or
yes.
something.
Yeah.
So, but, and I really like that character too, that one that we follow, because he's kind of funny and he's,
Yes,
the
exactly.
main character. I'm not even
Which
gonna-
one is the
I'm not even
character
gonna find
we
his
follow?
name.
Wait. Is that Vic Ram? Is
Well,
that
it's,
No,
the
he's
character who plays Karti, the actor's name is Karti, but his character's name is Valavarayan.
Yeah, that one.
he's the main guy that we follow?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So he was,
The one who's take all the messages and
Yeah.
fight and get
Yeah.
into this castle, get into that
and this
castle.
is really a really colorful character.
Yeah, exactly,
So
yeah.
and I was like, it's kind of like now I'll have to watch the second one, but I feel like I need to watch the first one again
right.
to get more caught up on it. But it's like, but can I cut up 3 hours fast to watch it again? So I'm then looking at 9 hours to watch it. So watching the first one again, the second one. So, but no, aside from that, I got lost with the story and the characters. I actually enjoyed the movie.
Oh, wow. Good.
Bob?
Rob?
Okay.
Wakey.
I made it to 26 minutes on this one.
That's a record
Is it-
for you.
it
That
is-
is a
I
record
get
for me
that.
on this. Although, I mean, I was looking back at RRR, the movie we had reviewed a while back, and I said, I don't like these movies, but I like that one. Why did I like that? And I saw somebody had a thing on YouTube that's like the most watched action sequences, 50 most watched action sequences. And the bridge scene in RRR was like around number 9.
Oh, wow.
And I said, okay.
Understandable.
Yeah, and I said, that's why I like that movie, because that scene there is about heroism. It's about like these two guys who are, like opponents, even though they don't know it, but getting together to save someone.
Right.
The rest of these things are all just like privileged people murdering each other, and I'm sick of it. I don't like British royalty. I don't like any kind of royalty. Game of Thrones, all of that crap, and that's what this shit is. And I just, I have no tolerance for this crap anymore. I have no fucking tolerance for it.
Well, the
I don't,
26 minutes is
you know
pretty
what?
good.
But it's just occurring to me. A friend of mine said once, I saw Jack Black, the actor Jack Black, in this place, and well, what a jerk he is. I was on this escalator and I saw him, and then he just like sort of saw me and he turned away when he saw that I recognized him. And I said, Jack Black is kind of an American everyman.
Yeah.
Everybody who sees Jack Black who's a Jack Black fan, says, if he got to know me, we'd just be the best of friends.
Yeah.
And that's the way it was with Johnny Carson. You went to bed watching Johnny Carson. Everybody wanted to be Johnny Carson's best friend.
Right.
These movies, I don't want to know these scumbags. I mean, it's just like they go around. There's these people like going, now, Mira Nair, Satyajit Ray, great directors. I'm not putting down Indian film history. I'm putting down the stuff that we see on Netflix, which is the most popular blockbuster type stuff that they have. And to me, it's garbage. It's just, what I saw in the 26 minutes I watched of this was guys who were doing physical stuff that they couldn't possibly do, and they're just like stabbing each other with swords. And I thought, well, maybe what it is they realize that the people who are watching their movies, they don't want to know them. They don't want people who think that I'm going to be their best friend. I got to put something on the screen that's going to deter them. And it sure deters me from, I don't want to know these people. I don't want to know their goddamn caste system. I have friends who are from India. I have in-laws who are from India. They're beautiful, beautiful people. But this stuff is crap. And I just don't have the time. And this week too, when my friend died, I was like, I can't sit through this. I can't take this. I can't push myself to the limit to watch this kind of crap, which I have no respect for this stuff. I don't like it. I understand.
You have no respect for it?
No.
Wow. Okay, that says a lot, right there. Yeah.
I have no respect for glorifying murder.
Okay, so you hated Bullet Train.
Oh, no, I
that you
loved it.
saw it twice.
Exactly.
What did you think, Sue?
No, hey, I copped to that. Yeah, I mean, it's like Bullet Train was like, I like Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt was interesting. He was fun. The movie was entertaining.
Yeah.
This wasn't entertaining to me, and it's like the other one we had that I couldn't stand, which was the guy jumping for 100 miles across a cliff.
That was the Bahubali I mentioned.
Yeah, that one was like, oh, come on, give me a break. I mean, it's just
Okay, not a fan of Indian movies.
Okay,
not a fan
No,
of
no,
this
that-
particular
that-
type of Indian.
Right,
movie.
yeah, that
fantasy,
genre.
epic fantasy kind of
Yeah,
war.
but it's
Yeah,
also-
not a fan of murder movies.
Well, first of all, it's 900 AD. You know what I mean?
Well, wait,
Exactly.
that brings up a question. Why are Hindus measuring Christ's birth as the time?
What?
Why would Hindus be using AD as a time measurement if they're not into Jesus Christ?
Well, actually, they're not. I was using that because that's how we measure time, and that's the time
That
period.
was
So
it.
how would we know that this was 900, the equivalent of 900 AD?
Because it's a real
historically,
story. It's a real story.
Historically,
This is a real.
They know when the emperors were actually in power.
Yeah,
Yes.
we don't
But
know.
we're using it in Western time.
And also where the details are fictitious, but the actual story is not. It's a historical story. So that's how you have to take it. As a person who comes from monarchy, I don't have a problem with it. So,
Well, actually, I just want I don't mean to interrupt you, but we don't need to be reviewing my take on it. I want to hear what you thought of the
what did
movie.
you
I mean,
think?
I thought it was really okay. Like George, I had a problem following it. It's like eye candy. There's no problem watching it. It's just kind of like
Getting it.
like you said, getting who are these characters, not being familiar with that history. It's kind of like they have to this is for an audience that already really knows this history. And it's not going to be. So I had a problem with that. Like George said, I don't know if I have another 3 hours to sit and try and figure it out. But one thing I do notice, something you said about Asian people. One time, I used to have somebody give me books all the time, and one of the books I read was an interpretation of a Japanese book, right? And one thing I noticed is there's always, and this was not it wasn't about an old thing. It was about these girls in the neighborhood and whatever. But there was always some kind of magical thing. I thought it was going to be like some kind of magical thing, but it wasn't. It was like, it was just there.
Right.
But it never concluded to be important in the story.
Right.
So there's always these kind of magical things that are going on, like the lady with the white hair on the
Oh,
elephant.
the elephant. Yes.
You know,
yes.
it's kind of like you want to. Who's she? What is that? You know what I mean?
And to be quite honest, I'll tell you, that comes out in PS2.
Yeah. Yes, but it was like I want to know about her.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
The
yes.
main character, Karthi.
Yeah.
Karthi. I liked him a lot. I thought he was. He's the one. Like in Bullet Train, we follow Brad Pitt.
Right.
In this story, we follow him.
Exactly.
He
yeah.
kind of takes us through all this stuff, and we kind of stay with him. And I think that if I understood the history a little better, I would have been able to follow the story. But what I really, really love, the dance scenes are incredible. The choreography and the fight scenes are incredible. Kind of like, you know, what was the one I liked about the... It's Chinese.
The best fight scene ever?
Hero scene.
Ip
Hero.
Ip Man. Oh.
No.
Hero.
It was
Okay.
Hero.
Oh, Hero's
Hero,
great.
'cause
Good.
Hero.
Yeah.
It was like if they have these big scenes, you know what
The
I mean?
fantasy part of it.
Right.
And I just think the choreography on these things, because that's why the dance and the choreography is all the same, right? You know, in the thing,
Exactly.
right?
Yes.
And it's like whoever the choreographers are, amazing. The costume design, amazing. So I had no problem watching the story. I had trouble understanding the story. But as I continued, I kind of, now I'll tell you who really got me confused more than the guys, was the girls. I couldn't tell one girl from another girl.
Okay.
You know,
Okay, yes.
you know, that was like, it was like, well, where did she come from?
Was she here before?
Yeah,
Is that
exactly.
her sister?
Yeah.
And they're all princesses too. That's the thing that's confusing as well. Yeah.
Yes.
They all
So,
have that telenovela look.
yeah, they all, and they all do. And like you said, you know, I'm used to the novellas, right? You know, it's like, that means something.
They have a
Everything-
smolder.
like
No,
you said,
they
if,
smolder.
if it was England, if it was our American or British, you get dun dun dun,
Yeah.
right?
Yes,
You know what I mean? But
exactly.
that's their, and that means something. But so yeah, that's kind of. I enjoyed it. I might
wow.
actually watch the second one.
I might watch the first one again, actually.
I'll take notes on the first one.
Could you
I
give us
got
the
lost
cliff notes?
right at the beginning because all the men had long dark hair and beards. I was gone. That was it for me. I more knew the horses. I kept looking at the horses, and that was telling me. Girls too, gorgeous, beautiful, you know, whatever. Right, but I didn't follow it because it's way too complicated. And funny enough, I didn't think it needed dance numbers. Unless that was like a relief.
Oh, they
from
do
trying-
that. They
I
do,
know that,
you know, it's
but
a
I
custom.
and I love the dance numbers, the Bollywood thing. But I thought in this it was out of place. Definitely overcomplicated. The long names everybody has. Now, this is a cultural thing.
Yes.
My name is Patty Smith. You can't get more basic than that. Easy, you know. So anything that's more than 5 letters, I'm lost.
It's like Princess Patty, Princess Susie's coming.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what the names are like.
And John will be, and George, you know, and everybody's. So
And you see, I have blonde hair, and she has brown hair, and you would be able to tell us apart at that particular.
maybe some cultures wouldn't. Who knows?
Yeah,
Oh, right.
I'm sure they don't, but the
Yes,
hair helps.
I agree.
Considering I didn't understand it from the moment, it maybe first 5 minutes, when the guy comes riding on the horse, and then they all have the beards and the dark hair. And that was it. I was like, what the hell is going on? But funny enough, it's still entertaining, but they shouldn't have made it so complicated.
Oh, did you find it entertaining? Seriously?
No, I mean, not
Oh,
really.
okay. Okay, I was curious.
But it was,
That's my Patty.
it was, I kept watching. I watched the whole thing.
You
And
did.
that wasn't easy.
Why is Jesus talking to Jesus?
Yeah, really, that was about it. But I thought it got, because it has a lot of humor, which I love humor, so I like the Indian movies because they have humor in them all the way through, even the most serious
Well, the
thing.
two
Yes,
guys,
yeah,
yes.
they do.
There's
yeah.
always this element of humor. But no, I hadn't a clue what was going on. I knew somebody was a good guy, somebody was the bad guy. Probably the good guy was the one they were showing the most.
Well, they all seem kind of the bad guy, except for
Well, the guy with the shorter
for
hair, that's why I could follow
yeah.
him, because he had shorter hair.
and with the friar.
But he did have a beard. So I had to keep my eye on him all the way through it. So I thought, he's probably the good guy. But no, I didn't understand one thing about it, but I still kind of liked it. Would I watch it again? Hell no. I'd have to take notes because it's so complicated. It didn't need to be that
You do
complicated.
need a playbook, I think, with all the characters.
Well, you see, you're not
know?
familiar. If you're not familiar with the history of the people, like if I was doing one on what do you call
Galactic?
that? No, no. Castle intrigue through 1900s to 1500.
still have a lot of people.
But you'd still have to kind of know it.
Right.
You,
No,
you know
no,
what
I
I
just
mean?
No, exactly. I agree.
They made it too complicated. They brought in everybody that they didn't need to bring in. Like, keep them as the background actors. They made it way too complicated for
I
the
was saying-
average
I was
person.
But I
saying
think
that-
that's probably because of the novel. Because the novel probably
Yes.
did that detail, and they wanted to probably stick close to the novel. This
Yeah,
is just
could be.
I did not
Could
read the
be.
novel, so I'm just sort of interjecting on it. But I thought maybe that's why, because it's sort of like Dune. Like I said, Dune is one of these very complicated novels
Yes.
that could never
I
make
followed
quite a
it.
good.
You
movie
probably
of
read it.
but
No, well, I
no. But the
didn't.
thing is, they leave out so much that's actually in the novel.
Yes,
Whereas
but I
these
don't
people
know the
want to include
difference.
it because it's historical.
And it's also part of the plot of what I could figure.
Yeah.
But
It's
they're making a
important to
movie.
the plot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything is geared to the plot.
Okay, see, Dune, I read the book. When I watched the movie, did I remember all those parts they left out? No, because the basic story is
We're
there.
still there.
Yes.
Okay. And all the characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's all you need.
I said the same thing about Bullet Train. You could have simplified this a little until I saw this movie, and I was like, I take it back.
I didn't read it. I didn't read
Is it,
it.
can a guy just be called Tangerine and that guy Lemon?
And let's face it, if those characters that had names like that, we would be able to follow,
Yes.
right? A little bit, because it's something in our culture that we
Yeah.
can follow.
Yeah.
When you watch somebody else's culture, it really is difficult. And you're right about, I will say this, I'm sort of embarrassed by it, because my mother always said this, that one time my brother had, like, quote unquote, a Caucasian girlfriend, right? She ran into her, the girl came up to her and said hello to her at some store they were both happened to be at, right? And she didn't recognize her as her son's girlfriend, right? And
my God, that's
and
funny.
you know what she told my aunt? Said, "Oh, you know, all those Hakujin, they all look alike." And I thought, "Oh my God!"
It's
I've
true.
always heard no, but I always heard the opposite. Right. Said, "Oh, all black people all Japanese people look alike."
Yeah.
It's true in your culture. It's sort of hard to distinguish, because I remember even you said about the Yin Yang Master, how you had a hard time distinguishing because they sort of looked alike. And it's so, I have to agree, it is so true. It is not a prejudice. It really just happens
it's
to
true.
what you are used to seeing.
Right.
Well, you know,
And that's
that's
what your brain adapts to.
to totally sidetrack here. That's exactly why I feel like in court cases, when it's to do with
Witnesses? Yeah.
that if they're a different race than the person that's accused, I give them a 50. That's probably wrong.
Okay.
Right? Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because that's so
Yes.
easy to do. I know for myself, like watching this movie, you know, it's like, oh, the guy with the ring in his ear and the one with the short hair. That's how we knew him. The guy with the short hair.
That's
He's
it.
the short hair, right? And
And they
he's
did
funny.
that on purpose. That's why so you could follow somebody. You know.
Well, it was for me, it was sort of funny for me, because with the women, like you had mentioned, it's like, okay, who has the nose piercings? Who has this piercings?
Yes.
Who has that? Who doesn't have any piercings, right? That's in a way you can know. But at one point, one of the characters, she has all her makeup and all her piercings taken off because she just took a bath or something. It's like,
Which
wait,
one?
who is that?
How'd she take her piercings off for a bath?
Oh,
Ear piercing.
Again, it was
You
just
know,
a
like
no,
if I
it's
would
a
take
nose.
my-
it's
Yeah,
a
but
nose-
how do you? I mean, it doesn't wash away when you take the
No, you
the
take
earrings
them off.
out.
But you don't
Take
have
them
the
off.
jewelry.
You take off
Oh, yeah,
jewelry
yeah,
when you
just-
bath. Big,
Yeah.
right? So
So
Yeah, but so I understand that part.
Did
And
we
I-
review the Yin Yang Master? The name sounds familiar, but I
Yes.
can't.
Well, yeah,
That's the
yeah.
one you didn't like. So,
which one was that? Let's see. Are we gonna
But-
do it?
Sure. Okay, that would be
Oh, yeah.
George.
No, I will say aside from that I was last. I actually enjoyed I like that big epicness. I like the fantasy of it too. I would give it aside from not understanding a 9.
oh my God!
Yeah,
wow.
I would too. It was like I thought it was a excellent movie. I just think that it was me that
Right.
was problematic, but I just
It's like,
enjoyed
it's
it.
not
I
you, it's
really,
me.
I
Oh, but
love
you
it.
actually did enjoy it.
I love the dance. Yes, I loved it.
Oh, wow.
I mean, there's a lot
Okay.
of dance and fight. To me, fight scenes and dance scenes are the same thing, right? You know, there's a lot of choreography
Exactly, yes.
involved. And they were like, it was like, wow, that was amazing, you know? So, yeah.
Considering I didn't understand it from beginning to end, except when I saw the end, right? I'll give it an 8 because I kept watching it.
Oh my God!
Well, you don't give
Wow.
any more than a 5.
Well, I
so-
give this one a
That would
6
look
because
outrageous
I
to you.
hold this up as like Bahubali and RRR. These are sort of amazing
RRR.
kind of like epic kind of movies that I'm really surprised I'm getting into. I didn't think I would
too.
get into these Indian films as
Why?
much as I do.
They're so entertaining.
Well, that's the thing. But because I agree about the dancing and songs, like, oh, they don't seem to belong. But yet, when I see them, I'm now delighted now to see stuff like that. And
You're growing.
I don't know. I'm surprised that you guys
I
liked it
grew
as
up-
much as because I thought Bahubali and RR were probably more entertaining for you guys than this one
I
because
would
this
say-
was so complicated.
It was more understandable. But what
okay.
that did remind me of, I know that they're very different, is Hero. It's like because of the
I
The
followed
magic-
Hero.
The magical part of it.
yeah, there's a magical part of all these
You're talking about
movies.
the
And like,
Jet Li movie, right? Hero.
yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
That's the one I didn't care for that.
Oh,
one.
that was a
I
great
loved
movie.
it.
It's one of
But
my-
I
That's
followed
on my
it.
top
I
10
could
movies.
follow it.
It was
Yeah, I
one of
agree,
my
yeah.
favorite movies, but
Yeah.
it had to do with the visual, the choreography. I mean, it was just the visual was amazing, and the story
That was the one that you didn't show up for. Hero was the one that I went over to the Grove. I was supposed to meet you there, and you were. You never showed up. And I went and watched the movie, and then went over.
But it's
Yeah.
also a murder mystery. You know what I mean? So even if they're like that and there's a murder mystery involved, I'm interested in it because it's the plot. You know what I mean?
Susie loves her murder.
Yeah, and it's the mystery part of it more than the actual
Well,
murder, which is where we differ.
The what is it? The movie I saw yesterday that I can't remember.
Oh, that Wicked Little Letters.
Wicked Little Letters. It's a mystery.
Oh, are you going to choose it?
Huh?
Are you going to choose it as a movie?
No.
Oh,
I probably will.
okay.
Okay, so we'll be back.
Okay,
Nope.
we'll be back next week.
Don't you have to rate it?
Oh,
We did.
just did.
We just did.
Oh,
You
okay.
give it a 6,
Okay, good, good.
an 8, 9, 9.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What's the next one, Sue?
So
The next one